I'm Anson.
I'm Ashley, and we're the Yeamans. We have two small children, Walker and Abby. Walker's 7 and Abby is 5. They're really close. They're close in age and they're really tight. And so I'm very thankful for that. Their personalities could not be more different. But like Walker's very detailed and analytical and has to know everything that's going to happen. And Abby is more go with the flow, just free spirit. Yeah. Yeah, just she'll find joy in most situations. But even despite their different personalities, they are
Thick as thieves.
He's an awesome big brother to her, and she idolizes him.
They do have their moments, but he is very patient and very caring. September, October of 22, we started noticing she didn't have as much strength, or was using her right arm and hand as much as her left. And you took her to the pediatrician and initially thought it was nursemaid's elbow.
She was in a cast for a month, and then when the cast came off, nothing changed. And while she had the cast on, we noticed she was kind of walking differently with her left leg. She kind of skipped a step. Sometimes it just wasn't as fluid as it should be. At Thanksgiving of 22, it was noticeably worse, and she didn't have the cast on. It was like, okay, something else is going on. So we called the next week and asked the doctor, hey, we're noticing her leg is involved too.
That afternoon, they called and said, we need you to go to Erlanger just as precaution to get an MRI. And that evening, after her MRI, our pediatrician called, told her there was a lesion. That's when your life changes forever.
I mean, I vividly remember getting that call. And when she said that, it was just like, I mean, your whole world, it just, completely changes.
Saturday afternoon, they had a air ambulance come down and pick up Ashley and Abby, and they were in Columbus by that evening.
No one at that point had said cancer, but that's, kind of what everybody's thinking. It's just scary, because the way that the neurosurgeon talked about it, it was, very
cautious
about, he wasn't like, oh yeah, we'll get in and it'll be fine. He's like, I've got to be very careful because there could be a lot of bleeding with the way this tumor looks. And, and so we're just, okay, is she going to make it through surgery, And our first bit of good news was after her surgery, the neurosurgeon was very pleased with how she did and what they were able to get. They were able to get
more than they had ever anticipated, so.
While we were in the hospital after her surgery, we found out what kind of tumor she had. And Dr. Filati, the neuro-oncologist, came to talk to us about it. I will never forget that she was like, Abby's not a number. She's like, so hear this, but she's like, Abby's not a number.
She says, here's the data, but there's just not really enough data to have conclusions.
Because we were so far away, we didn't want to come home in between treatments. And so we kind of had our rotation. And so Abby and I were up there continuously from like December 23rd till March the 9th. So we came home on March the 9th, and we didn't tell Walker we were coming home because he didn't know. We surprised him when we came home, and we were all just so thankful to be back together. The second phase of her treatment was she had bone marrow transplants. And so the team in Columbus coordinated with the team in Atlanta so we could do those a little closer to home. But even with those, she had to be in the hospital like consistently for around a month each time.
They were always amazed at how she might feel bad for about a half a day and then right back to her normal self.
All the doctors were like, all my teenagers, like they would not be up and about like she is, but she never wanted to sit around. I mean, she really did great throughout all of the hospitalizations. I will say the last one was the toughest, I think, because we were 6 months in by that point, and we had probably been home, a handful of weeks in 6 months.
I was home and we would FaceTime with them. Walker would cry after we got off. She's like, I just miss Mommy and Abby. And I'm like, I do too, buddy.
She rang the bell on September the 12th. It was a very emotional day. We got Walker out of school that day to come so we could all be together. In November, she had they called it a second look surgery to remove what they could of what was left of the tumor. They were able to get, I guess, 80%, 75, 80% of what was left. But there was a small piece that the surgeon was worried that he would cause more damage to her right side function if they tried to get that piece too. So that's one of the things they are monitoring. A funny story related to her second surgery is they bring her to the PICU right after she comes out of surgery, and so she's still kind of sleepy. They're trying to wake her up, and her head's all wrapped up, and they're asking her questions like, what's your name, who's this, and point to me. And she's still a Frozen fan, but at that time she was like super duper into Frozen, and she had given us all names of characters in Frozen. So she was Elsa, of course. I was Anna, and my mother-in-law was Olaf. And then Anson was Sven, Kristoff. It kind of went back and forth there. But when she was waking up, they pointed to me and said, who is that? And she said, Anna. And I think they kind of were like,
yeah, they started freaking out. They were getting nervous.
And I was like, wait, no, that's good. And it was kind of that reassurance that, oh, my girl is still there. But the one thing I guess we've had to learn is okay, you're never going to reach the finish line, but you have to celebrate the wins as you get them.
Somebody asked me the other day, is she done with it? I'm like, she'll always have to have scans. Hopefully they'll get farther and farther apart, but you're never done with it. Walker was 4 when it happened, but now he's 6, and he's starting to process things. And when Abby starts to process it, or every once in a while, it just hits you like a ton of bricks of what you've been through, and we can talk it out with the team.
When I start to feel anxious about things to come or what could happen, the what ifs, or what if that, what if this, because that's easy to do, it's such a comfort to know, okay, we've got people there to help us. It sounds funny to say there's good that comes out of a cancer diagnosis, but there is. You see a lot of humanity and a lot of goodness that you didn't realize was there. And honestly, when we first heard about Austin Hatcher, I really didn't put it together how comprehensive the services are. But the further we've gone into it, the more I've seen just how it takes care of all of your needs. You're a one-stop shop, for anything that you could need, and you need a lot on this journey. Going back to her Frozen obsession, in addition to assigning all of us characters, she would call colors on Elsa blue, on Elsa green. When we first started coming, she really didn't have a lot of the words, to say what this was, or, but she always saw the green sign outside, and so she would call it Anna Elsa Green, and I knew what she meant, and so then we all started calling it Anna Elsa Green.
Anna Elsa. Anna Elsa. Anyway, yeah.
But again, she's always so excited when she gets to come to Anna Elsa Green.
They both love coming here so much that if one gets to come one day and it's not the other one's day, they get visibly upset that they don't get to come too.
they get jealous.
They get very jealous, but they always look forward to the camps, and it's always hard dragging them out of here at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. And Abby has tremendously benefited from the occupational therapy that she's received. I mean, they do such a great job of making it play. It's not a chore to get her to go to therapy.
They know everything you need to look for, ask for, and I keep saying it, you don't know what you don't know. And you guys have been here to help us at every step along the way of how to navigate special services that Abby may need, or Walker may need, or we may need. They're like a best friend that was always willing to help you out.